කියලා ඉවරයක් කරන්න බැරි තරම් නිෂ්පාදන පෙළක්. කීස් නිෂ්පාදන අනිම මිලට හොඳම තත්ත්වයෙන්.
The 2024 parliamentary election to elect the 10th Parliament of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka will be held in another 2 days. 8,888 candidates are contesting this year's election, while 17,140,354 Sri Lankans are eligible to cast votes. Polling for the parliamentary election will be conducted at 13,421 polling centres across the island from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on the 14th of November. The Election Commission says not receiving official poll cards will not be an obstacle for voters to cast their votes.
Even if you did not receive an official poll card, if you possess a valid form of identification, you will be able to cast your vote. A national identity card, a valid passport, a valid driving license, a government pensioner's identity card, a senior citizen's identity card issued to clergy by the Department for Registration of Persons, a letter of proof of identity issued by the Department of Registration of Persons, a temporary identity card issued by the Election Commission to persons with disabilities, or a temporary identity card issued by the Election Commission to all other persons can be produced as proof of identity.
Campaigning for the general election concluded at midnight yesterday, and the pre-election silence is effective until the day of the election.
All forms of election campaigning are prohibited during the pre-election silence. All campaign officers must be disbanded by midnight tonight. Political parties and independent groups can only maintain a single campaign office in each electoral division, and each candidate will also be permitted to maintain one campaign office per electoral division from tomorrow onwards.
The Election Commission also commented on granting leave for employees to enable them to cast votes.
It is essential to grant leave for both public and private sector employees to enable them to cast their votes. If the workplace is located within 40 kilometers of the employee's designated polling center, half a day of leave is to be granted. Similarly, if the distance is between 40 and 100 kilometers, 1 day of leave, and 1.5 days for distances between 100 and 150 kilometers, and 2 days of leave for distances over 150 kilometers must be granted.
Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka police commented on the security measures in place for the election.
During the past few days, the police received 496 election-related complaints, of which 66 were criminal offences. The remaining 430 complaints were violations of election law. 478 individuals have been arrested, which includes 14 candidates contesting the election. Approximately 64 police personnel will be directly engaged in election-related duties. Another 6,000 personnel are on standby for deployment. Additionally, around 10,000 army personnel will also be on standby. Over 11,000 civil defence force personnel will also be deployed. If a candidate is found to have violated election law, it will cause them to lose their parliamentary seat.
In the meantime, an altercation took place yesterday in Vaunia between the supporters of former Minister Rishad Badiuddin and former State Minister Kader Mastan prior to the two candidates' final rallies. Former Minister Badiuddin was inside his vehicle during the altercation. The police had dispersed the crowd, and 2 people injured during the fray are receiving treatment at the Vaunia General Hospital. Meanwhile, the officer in charge of the Kochikade police station was arrested by the Colombo North Crime Division of allegations of violating election law. During an operation to remove election-related posters on the 3rd of November, the officer in question had allegedly threatened several police personnel not to remove posters of a certain candidate. A number of special public transportation services will be in operation this week for those travelling home for the election. Meanwhile, all schools and universities across the island will be closed tomorrow and the day after tomorrow in view of the election.